This is Steve Ridgel, and I've been thinking a lot lately about kindness. Now, maybe one reason I'm thinking about kindness is because you see so much, well, unkind things in our world. People are made in the image of God, but we live in a fallen world, and so people sometimes are just not kind. You see it in restaurants when people yell at waitresses. You see it in stores and in little league games when people not just disagree or not just say, "Hey, you missed one," but they get personal in unkind and harsh ways. Boy, have you anybody that's raised a teenager or a grandkid or a kid and seen how cruel they are just not kind sometimes. You see it a lot in boy, there's a lot of things I like about Facebook, and this will be posted on Facebook, and I keep up with a lot of friends, but I see a lot of unkind things on Facebook. And even among Christians, I see people that just aren't kind. Boy, if you don't agree with us and they say harsh, hard things, it really does become personal. And don't even get started on politics, our U.S. politics or our church politics. People just are not kind. But I'm going to tell you why I've been thinking about it a lot, because as Christians, we really are kind. Most of the time we are. I know I just said sometimes churches aren't, and sometimes individuals aren't, but generally people are. I know a lot of people that we almost totally disagree on a lot of things about doctrine. And you know what? They're still kind and good, and I could call them and they would help and they'd be nice, just as I am to them. But I tell you what's really struck me lately about kindness. One is I keep reading the fruits of the Spirit in Galatians 5, because we deal with a lot of new Christians where I go to church at Hillcrest, and one of the things we're teaching them is here are the things you will expect in your life as the Holy Spirit lives in you and bears fruit in you, and one of those is kindness. Individual Christians are kind. One of our new Christians, one of the things that really led her to Jesus wasn't doctrine, it wasn't our teaching. You know what led her to Jesus? She kept talking about how kind the Christians she met really had been to her. Now, I know something of her life and background as we've gotten to be friends, and people have not always been kind. But Christians were, and that struck her. And then a lot of you know I just got back from my 50th college reunion, and I'm going to tell you what struck me is how kind everyone was to each other. Maybe it's just because after 50 years you learn a lot of things, but people that were rivals in school, different fraternities and different sororities, and boy, you say a lot of stupid stuff in college about each other, but I didn't see any of that. At our 50th, everyone was glad to see each other. Some of our classmates are getting physically more limited. Boy, cancer's been tough, and old age is tough, and there were more. Not as many as you might think, but there were more canes and walkers and people having to sit than you would think. But you know what? Everybody was unfailingly kind, helping them find seats and sitting them down and giving them seats in the front row and just being kind to them, being nice to them. And every class has its quirky personalities. I suspect I may be one in our class, but I was struck by how kind everybody was, even to the quirky personalities. How friendly and how nice and how just they were kind to each other. And how many people have had heartbreak? There were a lot of people there that have lost mates, lost kids, certainly a lot that have lost parents, some that have had relationships go south, businesses that failed, some of them ushered out prematurely from work. And unfailingly, I listened to people talk, and they were kind to each other. They expressed sympathy in appropriate ways and were loving and sweet. And some of the people there, I even know, had some real pretty strong disagreements in the past, and they were kind to each other. So here's my admonition for Christians. Our world needs kindness. Let's let the fruits of the Holy Spirit be in our life, and let's really work on being kind. And if you're not a Christian, you want this world to be a better place, it's not going to be by everybody doing laws. It's not going to be by cutting out the people that don't agree with you. You'll find real kindness by following Jesus, because he was the ultimate kind person and the kind of person I want to be.